All right, folks, we are live again. This is Lit Literature and your hosts, the Shoutouts. I am the Demon, aka JP, and here we have the normal crew from somewhere I never know where is the captain.
From the boiler room.
The boiler room.
This time I'm transfixed by a piece of artwork in the Shadesmar Market.
Those shadows.
I got Josh the Cherry. Ben the Hitman.
Brett the Director.
Manny the Dream.
And he's Emi.
Eam the Dream.
Emi.
So dreamy.
Dreamy.
All right, guys. So here we are talking Oathbringer Part 4. I don't know the exact chapters on this one, but it is Part 4.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot to talk about. So,
yes.
Craziness. At the end of Part 3,
interludes.
Yeah, exactly. Interludes.
And
then
Part 4 interludes.
Part 4 interludes. So, why don't we start with the interludes? We've got Venli, who is now has communication abilities. She can talk any language, like any, I don't know.
To any other listeners, I guess?
Any listeners, any language, she's got like a communication power. And also, Odium has specifically directed her to lie to everyone about the story and the listeners who are almost extinct now, the original listeners. Yeah. And the Parshmen are there, which was kind of a bit creepy. But she is keeping her little pet, Voidbringer.
Spren, yeah.
Yes.
Or Spren, I mean.
What is the name that she has for the Spren? Timber.
Yeah.
Timber. Is it Timber or
Timber?
Timber?
Cough there, guys. So, I don't know. You guys got any thoughts on that? I'm waiting for that to be proven to be Eshonai now, I think.
Right. Yeah. No,
That's how I feel.
I think we're all riding that bus.
At first, I was kind of like curious if this thing, but because she's so surprised about it, I quickly was like, oh, that's probably not it. But I was wondering if, because after Eshonai? After Eshonai died, and the Eshonais, after Eshonai died, and this light or whatever, this Spren came out, I was wondering if that was the reason that they were so like paranoid or like on edge about touching or moving like corpses or something like after they died. I wonder if there was some type of link there.
Yeah.
But this seems to be a special case because she's like very surprised about it. She doesn't really know what's going on either.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's something else funky going on too. Like Odium and his main leaders who ride the storm, and come back every time. They really want their people to be in the dark.
Right.
And I think that maybe all Parshendi, or listeners, I should say, can come back and ride the storm, probably, as Spren. And eventually maybe become powerful Spren, but why let people who are new or fresh or maybe a different, not yet brainwashed or mindset to come back and continuously be reborn, because it could put a damper on Odium's goals.
Right.
Something I thought about. I don't know.
They need to drink the Kool-Aid before they're led into the. And
plus, it's almost like
circle.
Odium is promising these people they keep coming back and they take the body, right? And it totally screws with whoever gave up the body.
It kills them.
Now let me ask you, if when Eshonai died, was there any type of I can't remember if there was any, but was there any type of moving or something of the body? Like, was there anything related to that?
They took the shard plate
off the body.
They took the shard plate off. So I wonder if somehow this was used as a way to make the Parshmen not aware of how kind of immortal they are. Like, oh, you have to leave them. Like that almost became like a way to make them less powerful, because maybe if you move the body, somehow it has something to do with.
Well, the Everstorm was not always there too. So they used to have to wait in Damnation until they could come out of Damnation with the Heralds. But now they just it seems like they just ride this Everstorm and then take bodies when they can. Okay. Seems like it to me. Yeah. But I don't know. So we could put a cork in that one then, I guess. We got to talk through it. We've got some theories.
Yeah.
I don't think we need a Brett bet because I think we all probably think it's Eshonai.
Yeah. Or somehow.
Yeah.
I think we do actually have a Brett bet on it, and I even said it might be the friend.
Mm-hmm.
But now it makes sense to me. It might be Eshonai. But anyway, that's not here or there. When we do our Brett bet consolidation episode, which is going to be a disaster, we will record and find out exactly how all of those Brett bets end out.
Yeah.
And we will be recording that live.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to prepare, like, pick the right day for that, because as I'm editing, I'm going through the old Bright Bets and recording Bright Bets, and I'm just like, oh man. I just got through the one that I got through. I just recently got through the one where I had already known the answer but forgot and made a bet, and Josh literally took the opposing Brett bet in order to help.
Deflect.
Yeah,
took
one for the team.
Like, oh well.
And I decided when I was listening to that, I'm like, I'm gonna take the losing shot on that regardless, because that was a disaster. I mean, I did honestly forget, but I had more subconscious information than the rest of you guys. So anyway, so then we move on to who else we have in the interludes. We also have
the Washer.
The Washer, yeah.
Wait, did we talk about with the Venli interlude how she goes into these storms, or this kind of like the same thing as
brings her.
He visits Dalinar. He visits her and he burns her.
But that actually comes in a chapter later, right? Am I not?
That's
the first time, and then a second time it happens.
Ah, that's right.
Dalinar brings her in.
That's right. My bad, dude.
First time Odium brings her in.
Which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, so Odium does contact her. Yeah. And give her specific directions, and in a very like kind of demanding,
really painful way. And I feel like this is kind of showing us an idea as to why these people are becoming hinged, like unhinged. You know, like imagine being like burned every single time a storm came.
I think it's also setting up a reason for Venli to betray them, and actually start to realize like maybe we aren't on the right side, even though we find some information later on whether they are or not. But
because I feel like she would succumb to this sort of treatment if she didn't have Timber, who keeps on reminding her of the old songs.
We almost had a party foul.
Wow.
When you're not drunk enough and you can still catch liquor.
But you're drunk enough to spill the liquor.
There was no spill.
But you knocked it over.
So at this point, I will say that maybe Manny's stem is just a little too thick for him to handle.
Yeah. Yeah, no breaking this one, Jeff.
Just spilling it.
Cheers to that.
No, I'm not cheering that.
All right.
Bogus.
So then we have the Washer, and that was pretty cool because we get to meet someone that we've been we read about in book 1, but we just never really
knew exactly what's going on.
But we got confirmation that she is a herald. That this is the lady, the mistress. Yeah,
the mistress.
And also we find out a little bit more information about our Ghostblood leader, or not leader. Well, yeah, he's obviously wealthy. He's obviously he's a Light Eyes of some sort. He runs a pretty Mraize.
He seems to be maintaining a fairly civilian life, because he has a fully functioning mansion. It sounds like he regularly entertains guests, probably to gain some more influence and some more power. But he's clearly part of a community, and having that side of him and also the side of him that leads an assassination group shows that he's definitely a very functional villain.
I don't think he leads the assassination. He's a part of them, but he's
the
not
Ghost
the
Slugs. That's a good point.
High ranking.
Yeah,
but that's a good point.
Establish that there's a specific leader, or he's talked about there are other. Because I think he said there are other groups that have maybe different types of intentions or different focuses.
Yeah. Right.
So I think he's kind of taking over, leading one section of it.
Yeah.
They have a lot of ability to do what they want, as long as it doesn't mess up the main goal.
The main goal, yeah.
Yeah, but I think he specifies at some point that he's not the leader.
Yeah. Well,
isn't that one girl with the mask? I can't think of a name.
That's his mentor.
Or his mentor.
His mentor, his teacher. Because she was like, "Oh, is she your apprentice?" And he's like, "No, that's actually my teacher."
Although they clearly are at a level right now where
they seem equal.
They seem pretty equal. Yeah. I will say that I'm really curious about the Ghostbloods' true purpose, because we don't really know their true purpose. And the fact that they are so knowledgeable about the Heralds, so knowledgeable about what's going on, they're feeding information even to Shallan that's layered with lies, as Pattern even notices. But we don't know what they are. We don't know where the misconceptions are, So And obviously he wants an ally in this herald.
That's the thing. Like he specifically was doing things to try to draw this herald out, which was really interesting. Like I wonder if that's what they're doing to all the heralds. Mm-hmm. And then are they the ones that actually have the one that's like missing?
The one that's missing?
The one that got the one that was in Dalinar, but now he's missing.
Well, he did capture that dart that we know Mraize tends to use, the blow dart. But we don't know the outcome of that.
Yeah.
Like, Amaran was breaking him out. Does Amaran still have him, or did the Ghost Blood succeed? And obviously Amaran is still alive, so we know that, but we don't know what happened with that outcome. Yeah. Also, we don't know what happened with his honor blade, because it basically confirmed that he's a herald, but the blade that Dalinar got from him isn't an honor blade. It's a normal dead shard blade. So,
later in the chapter, in this part, we do realize that one can have both a nano blade
yes,
and
we
a
do.
blade.
Because we get a part from, what's his name?
The Justice Herald. Nordar?
Nor.
So
we're close.
It is possible he just never summoned it.
Hey, fact checker?
Can you give me my phone?
Oh, you could use a book right here. We got one right here. Oh, but his phone is faster. That's a good point. Technology.
So it is possible just because he's crazy. He just summoned his shard blade.
But remember, he's one of the few heralds that joined his own order and bonded a spren.
So he said he's aware, the only one. But
what I'm saying is that his shard blade is actually a living spren in his order. So he's actually bonded it. So he has an honor blade and a living spren shard blade, and that's pretty cool. So it's pretty interesting. We'll look at his name. You're right. It does start with the N, and I don't know why even us audiobook folk are just totally having a brain freeze. Was the third interlude then the Zeth and him?
I think it was. Was that the games? Oh, not the games, but the challenges where he...
The first challenge, I believe.
Oh, dude.
He do a fly and like play paintball.
With was that not awesome? Yeah. Dude, that was super
Zeth, fun.
I'm really waiting for Zeth to become the true... Nail. That's it. Awesome. Dude, I'm waiting for Zeth to really become like a true contributor to the good side. What I think that he's really going to become the main leader of the Justice, the Skybreakers. And I think he's going to guide them down the right path, because there was some debate about how they are supposed to handle Justice. And Nail was... Even Zeth disagrees with how Nail was running it, and thankfully now Nail has kind of come back mentally a little bit and realized that he was probably handling it wrong. But Zeth, I think, is going to find Justice to be its own thing outside of law, not just this crazy paper law.
They kind of even hinted at that after the third ideal. The fourth ideal is essentially you become law. Yeah. And so once that happens, then it's almost more... It seems like that allows freedom of judgment. Yeah. More so.
But anyway, pretty cool. Also, that sword. Okay. The sword that he's carrying with the voice. Well, we don't technically find out, but we get a lot of hints that the girl, Commander, traveling with Adolin and Kaladin
Azir?
Yep.
I think joking. Shadesmar.
In Shadismere.
Oh, she's in Shadismere.
She's in Shadismere. Shadismere.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when she's in
Shatner.
Shadesmar.
William Shatner.
She talks. We'll get to it. I know we'll get to it, but she's obviously hunting their sword instructor, who talks when we got Zael's inner monologue in Words of Radiance. He talks about how he misses the voice in his head.
Yeah.
Obviously, that sword that Zeth's carrying around is his version of that sword. And then she has one. We don't know that it talks in her head yet, but I think it does.
I think it does. I think it's going to be like the sister to that sword. There's going to be like... For some reason, they crafted one sword that was split into two.
And remember, she also describes why she doesn't use it often. And when we read Zeth's perspective, he does have an opportunity throughout his story to use it. And it just, if you don't have a ton of Stormlight, it like whoops you. It almost kills him.
That sword's a psychopath.
Yeah. but so Zyle clearly had that, and Zyle is here in this world. She's followed him here in this world. I mean, we got to talk about this worlds thing as we get to the end. Yeah. We'll save it, but yeah.
I also feel like the sword that Zeth is carrying around is like a sword incarnate of Ben.
Just achieve me. Just achieve me.
Yeah. Let me kill them.
Except Ben would be
did
like,
you kill bad guys with me? Yeah.
Ben would be like, where are the good guys? We need to kill them.
Another major difference is that sword seems to kind of lose control when it's being used. Whereas Ben would not lose control.
She was like, after the fight, she kind of wakes up and she's like, wait, so did we kill them? And she's almost drunken. They explain that. She's like,
I feel like Ben would be like that. He'll just like have like all this, like a blood pool on the ground with all these bodies and be like, oh, I did this.
Can I do that? He's like Urkel.
With his suspenders.
Dude, super giddy.
So we end up in Shadesmar. And Shadismere and Shadesmere. We end up in. By the way, folks, we are going to purposefully and accidentally both say that word in all kinds of different ways as an inside joke. But
by accidentally, he means himself. By on purpose, he means everyone else.
Dude, it's so nice.
It's so nice.
It's so nice to be able to have freedom of. Words.
So nice.
So anyway, we end up in after the crazy battle at the top of the tower in Kholinar. We end up in Shadesmar with our favorite team.
Yeah, our group.
And in minus Rock, of course.
Minus Rock, of course.
And unfortunately,
why don't you bring me to this thing?
Kaladin is obviously in battle. He had his freak out at the end. We've talked a lot about that. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
They're there, and Adolin sees immediately at the end of it. He sees the Spren, and we talked a lot about what the Spren is, and it was really cool to see that we finally see one of the dead / zombie Spren, which is AKA Adolin's sword. And the cool thing is how we all thought, or a lot of us thought, I think we all thought that he's going to find a way to wake this Spren up.
Yeah.
And now I'm convinced it has to be before they leave Shadesmar.
It's got to be something. Probably you have to go to Shadesmar somehow.
And they talk about how they basically follow you around. They scream when you try to summon them, and they could just walk off mindless zombies. They just
walk
off a ship and just stay in the So it's pretty crazy. And even we meet some Spren. One of the Spren has his dad locked up. His dad was a shard blade, and on this side of the world, he locked his own father up in this. But
because the side of Wanda towards the sword,
and
doesn't matter.
And their party had a mystery guest member when they appeared in Shadesmar, which I'm assuming is Adolin's Shardblade, right?
That's exactly what we just said.
Yeah.
They did a really good job of kind of setting up this creepy interloper, because the way they described her is that she's like a ghost with her eyes scratched out or something, and I was just picturing something from a Japanese horror movie the whole time. Like Adolin was trying to
long
talk
hair
her,
coming over its face.
Talk her.
Yes,
exactly.
Dude, and so we actually, because this whole thing is kind of crazy. I don't know if you guys had this feel, but when we get into Shadesmar and we actually see what it is, I start to feel a little bit like I'm watching a cool show, like a bit weird, kind of like a Farscape, where you go into this space and then you're just going to towns with, there's some humans there's human clothes, there's a bunch of weird ass aliens walking around, and they're Spren in this case, and we actually get to meet Adolin, living versions of Adolin's Spren type.
Yeah,
they're viney and crazy, and I wonder if they're viney, are they Spren of honor or Spren of cultivation? I'm curious about
the edge dancers.
It's got to seem
maybe
like the
it
edge
is an
dancer
edge dancer.
spray.
That's kind
what
of
I thought.
interesting. You're thinking like because they have like they're made of vines, but they have crystal hands,
which kind of makes sense with lifts. What's his name? It's a very.
It's just the W. Wendell.
Wendell.
Yeah, he's kind of the way he materializes on the other side is as a vine, and then she can actually grab on crystals. That's what he like grows crystals that kind of dissolve, and she Lift can actually hold on.
So how cool would that be if Adolin wakes up his spren and becomes an edge dancer? That's pretty cool.
That would be cool.
And that'd probably really fit for him being a duelist. And edge dancer seems like a really cool adaptation of his.
I feel like edge dancer is a great description to describe a duelist because I feel like they look like they're dancing with a blade.
Yep, and they're like always kind of like that very edge. You're trying to like.
The thing I wonder about though, even though there's like, as far as we know, there's no precedent of ever reviving a blade once it's dead. But
Stormfather says he doesn't know.
I wonder if I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion that she would even stay his blade at that point. Like once you revive them, they're kind of possibly freed.
No, you're right. And she would need to bond him through choice.
Probably
of that
again,
personality
right? I would assume.
Too. But does Adolin? I think Adolin actually can have a little bit of lift wild tendencies. I mean, obviously, his murder of Sadeas says one thing.
Yeah,
but didn't Kaladin kill Syl? Syl? And then
he almost.
She said that he almost brought her back. Or she was almost dead, but she wasn't total. There was still, because he hadn't totally broken the bond yet, or broken his oath yet. She was almost dead, but it would be similar.
Yeah.
So, and I, the problem is that she was already bonded to him too.
Yeah, exactly. This is a person that this sword has not ever been bonded to.
Wow.
That might be different.
Well, we don't know that because I mean, the sword does have the gem, right? And they have to bond with that for it to be able to call it and release it whenever. So technically, a different type of bond, I guess, like maybe one that was forced.
Yeah.
Hey, Captain. We took a Brett bet on Adolin specifically and him waking his sword up, but I remember it was a 2-part Brett bet. Do you have notes on how that Brett bet was? I'm just curious.
I do. Yeah. Let me pull it up real quick. It was a 2-parter. I think we may have already potentially addressed it, but the Brett bet specifically was, is the murder of Sadeas going to affect Adolin a lot or a little? And do we think is Adolin a Radiant or not?
So the question is I think we have to wait on some of that.
Yeah.
I think we're finding out that Sadeas' murder probably won't impact Adolin yet, but
nobody knows yet.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't know if they're coming. That could come in another book. But I think when in the books, he actually kind of opens up to Shallan about it.
Right.
And they kind of, that seemed to me kind of be putting the hatchet in it and just ending it there. So
I think it was the beginning.
I'm nervous that that's going to now kind of be like, okay, we're done with that whole kind of
I don't know.
going on.
I feel like him talking to Shaylin about it, I think was really good because it's definitely going to help strengthen the bond.
It was so nice that Adolin talked to Shallan
about it.
I thought it showed that because John just thinks Adelin's perfect, and showed that he has this confliction about it too, and this.
But it was awesome. Her reaction was basically good for you.
Yeah, and she accepted it. She was happy.
But the thing is, though, I wonder if there could potentially be, even though we hope that after Wit's intervention that she's going to kind of get these personalities under control. I wonder if there's another personality that now has that information that could potentially use it in a negative way because she has different goals or love interests than Shallan does.
Dude, speaking of that, we just got to go through this because there's so much good tidbits, but so we had this with bait. We have a Brett bet out on like Shallan hooking up with Kaladin or Adolin. And Adolin,
she wants the dark D.
We find out she wants the light D too. But Vale is actually wanting that dark D.
Yeah, Vale's gonna get mad that she picks Adolin and then Adolin, and she's gonna spill the beans.
So what was really cool in my opinion is Adolin is more informed than he let on. we read from his perspective, and Shallan thinks he hasn't noticed the drawings of Kaladin or the way that she eyeballs him. And then he even I fucks him basically. It's true. Veil comes out, but the funny thing is, his response to that was pretty funny. And then his response was basically like, "Well, it's not like he could help being so
how imposing, like so
moody and like hot, moody mess that Kaladin is."
Yeah.
So
I think it just shows how strong his character really is, that he doesn't like feel betrayed by Kaladin
or get angry at Kaladin.
He doesn't get angry at Kaladin, and he doesn't even really get bothered at Shallan. And he kind of understands because she opened up about her.
Yeah, but I feel like the reason that he doesn't really get mad at Shallan is because he feels he's had those feelings before, like when he's talking to these girls, but then he gets distracted by other girls.
So he might understand.
He understands like it's not necessarily their fault. It's just hey, you need to do more to keep that person's attention.
It's gonna be a threesome.
Dude, I feel like
we're all gonna have to.
I agree with it. Because when he was talking, he sounded like he really wanted the dark D.
Yeah. It's gonna be like Taravangian. Who are you today?
And then while they're getting it on,
wait, Captain, we gotta hear this.
and then while they're getting it on, do you guys want to sail a ship for?
No, Sil does not like him.
No, Sil says he's okay for a cryptic
Bran. I love this Bran.
Oh, this is going a dark direction.
Pattern's my favorite.
Yeah, Pattern is the best.
Yeah. I do have to say, I love both of these voice actors, but it bothers me now. Probably not because they're doing it improperly, but probably just because I'm so used to it. But it bothers me when I hear her do Sil, him do Pattern. I'm just like, no, that's not Pattern.
I honestly, at some point, they're gonna have to just admit that it's better for them to do the chapter, like if she's doing the Shallan chapter and he's doing the Kaladin chapter, then when Pattern talks in the Kaladin chapter, he just has to do it.
Yeah,
he just cut it in like a voice actor. That might be kind
of weird though. Also, I'm sure they.
Well, I've heard some.
Have you heard that?
Audiobooks where they actually cast people,
right?
And then there's a narrator cast. But for them, it might be a little hard. But I think it would be.
That'd be pretty interesting to listen to.
I think
it'd be interesting
because I also I'm so used to Rock's voice being his. When Rock talks in her chapters, I'm just like,
I know. I'm just like, who is this?
And it's not that she's doing bad either. It's not that she's doing bad. It's just I'm so used. I'm so used to.
And her pattern is just
amazing.
It's like so unbelievably good.
Yeah.
And Andrew said it good in like episode 2.
He said it real good.
He said it real good. He's like, what's his name? Kate Reading and Michael Kramer. Michael Kramer does a freaking phenomenal husky female voice.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's just really funny.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed them. I hope they do tons and tons and tons of more audiobooks. Sorry. So anyway, this world, so they know basically, I feel bad for Kaladin because he knows his men are on the other side of that, back in Kholinar fighting, and they're two badass guys. And I'm worried for Scar because Scar just got his powers. He's a badass. And now as Kaladin goes into Shadesmar, they're going to lose their powers.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about them, number one, escaping, leaving people. Now I'm almost positive the next we know of them is they will be captured. And because they showed signs of radiance, they might be executed. And I am going to be very sad if we lose Scar. Who is the other guy he brought? Scar
Heft.
and...
Definitely.
He didn't bring Heft.
Drahey.
Scar and Drahey.
But I think that I think it's actually probably going to be good that since Kaladin left, they'll be able to like mingle in with the other people, and all the other people weren't getting. It seemed that the listeners weren't going to just kill all humans. They were like going to enslave them.
No, but too many of them saw them fighting. Secondly, their powers fade slowly. I don't think they'll go away immediately. So I feel that they'll have enough to fight for a while. And that will cause problems.
There could be a difference though, because maybe it fades when he's somewhere in the world and
but now
away. But now that he's completely in another dimension, it could have just immediately been cut off.
Later, they say that only one person can practice at a time because
that's because they're using the blade.
So they don't have any powers at the moment.
The ones back at
they were too far originally. They didn't have any powers.
But it's still, I think they didn't say it outright, but they implied that the powers faded away, not just dropped cold turkey.
Well, it depends on distance.
Right. That's a good point.
But
I guess we'll find out.
Another thing is like how far technically are they away?
Because they're on near
they
dimension.
Actually have spheres in this dimension. Like, could they go find their spheres and like be connected with them?
That's a good point. They technically they emerged right where they left.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I don't know exactly how that works.
But you also have to remember that Moash is there too, and he has a relationship with them. So I'm not sure that he would really be willing to let them just get executed.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good point.
But Moash doesn't
but
seem
is Moash still the same Moash right now?
Yeah. But he doesn't seem to have a bunch of pull either.
That's true. Yeah.
He's always going to be Bridge 4.
But they don't execute people. They just take them prisoner.
But the Radiants, though. And they were visibly Radiants. I think that's where I worry.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe they will execute Radiants because they're like... They are a huge threat. So but I know what you're saying. I want to hope. I'm worried. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. I'm worried about it. I like Scar, and I like Drahe, and I think it will damage Kaladin so much more to find out that Scar and Drahe end up getting executed because of this fiasco. I feel it is Kaladin's fault because he fucking froze when he shouldn't have.
Yes, true. I also feel like since now we have, we know Scar and we've known him for such a long time that they really need to introduce a new character, and they should call him Mufasa.
Manny, that's so nice. That's so nice. All right, so this is really cool world. It's weird. It almost felt like when they got there, I started reading a new book with the same characters.
Yeah.
There's this whole world. Spren have their own political issues, their own systems,
Honor
their
Sprenner
own
dicks.
Honor Sprenner
that was the thing that kind of like really started like kind of not shattering, but like altering my whole perception of the books and the worlds. Like they're on this side. You start seeing Spren basically like almost like humans.
Yeah.
You know, that's like there's jerks. There's honorable ones. There's ones that are bad. There's people just living their life. There's there's all sorts of stuff.
There's even humans like, chilling there.
For so long, we like had Syl, and it was mystical, and it was like, oh, there's power coming from some dimension we can't even comprehend, and it was like there, you had this like kind of almost perception that these powers must be perfect. Oh, the Stormfather must be always giving us great information and be doing the right thing. But like you're starting to get the feeling that like, why should we put our trust in these things? Like maybe they're just as flawed as we are. Yeah.
See, then you're losing that mystery.
Yeah. The mystery. Yeah. So exactly.
It's losing its magic. Like just like exactly like you said.
And
I agree.
In the same way, it's gaining a different magic in the complexity that it's adding to how we have to approach this.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying like it's a bad thing.
Oh yeah, I agree. I didn't take it that way either. I meant like
it's interesting
because you lose that. You do. I felt just like, these Spren can be jackasses and total freaking money-hungry assholes.
Before Dalinar would have a vision, I'd be like, all right, that's the direction we need to go. And now I'm like, is it?
The visions aren't really done by the Stormfather. They're memories
but like, it
that the Stormfather was given.
For me, anyway, it kind of made me question all of these like beyond these metaphysical things. It made me question everything that's going on. It's like, who knows if this vision is even, it may just be like a power we don't understand, but it's completely human. It's not godlike. It's not, righteous or whatever.
The other thing is like, we're getting an idea that these powers are actually too perfect. Like Honor is too perfect in Honor because he can't find that gray that is real. That is not everything. Not everything is this, and that's why Oaths he didn't understand that like there's something more, and I think Cultivation's gonna put a wrench in us too when we meet Cultivation. I hope we do at some point,
and then, it's happening a little bit later, but they talk about the Stormfather was talking about Anna or the Almighty, and that he was going crazy and like degrading, and that. Like, they're not perfect. Yeah. That they can actually, like, become, like, misled, and they started raving about how it was during that period when they betrayed.
Oh, the recurrence.
And he like before they all knew about it, but this new generation, he was just going mad and like waving at them, and it caused the recurrence.
I got the impression that Honor, much like the Stormfather, with his interaction with humans, was becoming more human or understanding of humans. So his whole thing of him being honorable all the time was really conflicting, which led to that whole, oh my gosh, is he going crazy? Or that's how they envisioned him, like thinking that he was going crazy when really he was just becoming more human, or becoming more like swayed by like, oh, maybe what I'm doing is not always.
And it was in 100%. Direct conflict of his nature.
Exactly. Right. So that's what I think we're learning also. Like we've only just touched on Shadesmere, and also learning about the structure of these Spren. And like these honor Spren, I don't think that they're assholes. I think that the way that they're built is different than the way that some of these are built. And it's kind of like this whole thing where like we're better than because we're honorable. Yeah. Where somebody else is like, oh, those are cryptics, don't get along with them. You know what I mean? Like it's also even more emphasis on society differences that we focus on instead of coming together.
Well, I remember that I'm pretty sure you guys explained last time I brought this up. I'm pretty sure you explained a reason why this probably can't be, but I forget what it is, so I'm going to say it again. I keep wondering if like unite them. Like I still think that there's like something about, because like Honor is like fractured right now, and I wonder if he did that on purpose as a way to like kind of like go out and like learn more about different elements that aren't him. And I keep thinking like unite them. I still don't think we know what unite them means. That's one thing that I kind of got from this from this section. And I'm trying to figure out exactly what unite them means. I think that we're being very kind of close-minded in the fact that it means somehow uniting the nations or uniting.
I think I agree with you in one way. And that's that I don't think we know what it means yet.
I don't think we know what it means.
But I disagree in that there's a meaning to it at all. I think Dalinar needs to realize what that is for himself, because Honor is just fucking dead.
Possibly.
That's how I feel. And I feel that
I feel like there's a chance that it could be uniting the sections of Honor as well, though.
But what you said, unite me, not
what's
them.
That?
Unite me, not them.
But it's not me anymore. Like the Stormfather doesn't really refer to himself as Honor. You know,
that's true.
Well, let me put it
separate
this way.
Entities.
I do disagree, but if we want to make a Brett bet on it, we should. If not, we should move.
That's way out there.
I don't. So let's keep talking. Then
it's just thoughts.
Let's keep talking through this world. So Odium has a presence here as well. He sends his fused here. Mm-hmm. They're actually actively, aggressively taking over territories in Shadesmar, as well as the real world. So I think Odium's game plan is really well thought out, because the humans haven't even thought about their alternate world that they probably need to be. And the Spren themselves seem too blasé about Odium's presence in this world. I feel like it's like when your leader starts going insane. You know, like you have a leader that's like a Hitler, and he starts doing things, and you're just like, we'll let that slide. We'll let that slide. And then before you know it, you're all just in. So
you just let too much slide. Yeah.
One thing I think that's going to be cool that I think maybe is going to start becoming more evident, or they're going to start talking about, is we kind of find a big thing out that the listeners are actually the original inhabitants of the world. So the listeners talk a lot about that the Spren betrayed them. So obviously the Spren used to probably were there before the humans came over. And I think one thing that we're gonna start getting into, I bet, is that humans, because they're more emotional and they don't have specific forms, the Spren were easily able to feed off of them. So that's why the Spren betrayed the listeners. And then now that I think there's gonna be some kind of what the reason Honor started to go crazy is because how is it honorable that they betrayed the listeners for humans? But it's just almost like a food thing that the humans have more of this emotion that they're putting out. And I think that's going to become like a very in-depth thing.
Remember too that there's never really supposed to be that many shards in one place. And there are 3 full spiritual god shards in the same like vicinity. Honor, cultivation, and odium. And I think that caused Spren themselves, which I think they indicated that Spren probably predated the shards in like the beginning. You know how there's always like beginning segments, and it was in one of the previous books, and they kind of indicated that Spren predated that, but adapted to those shards, and then also those shards mimicked the natural state of the world, and were causing new Spren from a different source. So it's like one of those things where Spren might have betrayed them, but then there's probably Spren that are...
Wait, but I don't
like,
remember...
What if the humans came over with honor? What if honor wasn't there? What if cultivation was actually the home? Or what if odium was the home shard? Like, we don't
honor
know.
Wasn't even from that world?
Maybe not. Maybe he came with the humans.
Could it be the other way around? Because it seems like odium seems to have like this almost like fondness of humans in Dalinar,
was
and like this manipulative like hate for the people that are actually helping him. Like it seemed like because like when he goes through the visions with Dalinar, he's all like, "Oh, I've been watching you for so long." It's almost like a father like talking to a son, and then when he's talking with all the parchment, he's like, "You better fucking do this." You know, it's just like it's weird
with Dalinar.
Yeah,
Dalinar's old personality too used to feed into Odium's side so often.
Right.
I feel that almost Odium wants Dalinar to become his champion.
Right.
And that he doesn't want to like show his like side that's harsh and not, but it's like, you know, I'm right, just release me.
So he's just trying to lure him in.
But I still think that Moash is going to become Odium's champion.
Well,
I think they're definitely leading to that.
Yeah.
That's the expectation. But I don't remember it being.
But Kaladin claims to have seen his champion. Though,
no, he saw the 9 shadows
and the armor. But that's all we know.
That's not even. We'll talk more about that I think later. But I feel like I don't know if I remember them saying that the Spren betrayed them. They just said that the Spren were more adapted to humans.
No, during the listeners, or it was back when Ishona or Ashonai and all them were there. They were saying that she was saying when the Spren left us, when the Spren abandoned us, because they used to have more forms and the forms came easily. That was before the Spren abandoned them.
The thing is also
they abandoned their gods
when the humans came to this world. They broke the old world because they used Stormlight. And so if you're saying you can't use Stormlight without Spren, then the Spren came from the old world.
You know what, though? I wonder about the factual accuracy of that.
Yeah.
I think that it's probably accurate. Like, we find out that the humans came from another world, and we know that humans travel here through Shadesmar, which connects worlds. But I also think the truth.
Do we know that for sure, that it was through Shadesmar, or are there?
We don't know that the original humans came through that, but we know that humans now they can come through other through Shadesmar. But I don't know about the factual accuracy of something like that, because you know how even us, like, history gets twisted so quickly. You know what I mean? And like, I'm not disagreeing that they may have come from somewhere else, but that story in itself, like we destroyed our world with Stormlight, might be significantly more complex than that. Like, we found out that we destroyed our old world with Stormlight, and so now we're gonna cause recurrence. And I think it's like, what if you destroyed your old world fighting Odium,
right,
with Stormlight, and you can't fight? I just don't believe that it's as simple as, we just fucked it up because we got powerful.
Yeah.
And that's possible.
It is possible, but it's not a foregone conclusion.
I just feel like we don't have these details, and it's the truth is going to be found through the ancient shards. Like, Odium probably knows more about the real truth, and Honor, who's dead, and Cultivation may know a ton, and we haven't met her.
When I was reading that, I was thinking, like, how could they destroy a world with Stormlight? Because it doesn't seem that powerful to destroy something that big. So I was thinking maybe the city, what's it called?
Kholinar?
No,
Uthira?
Uthira. They have it set up so somehow it's like a big what is it?
Fabrial?
Yeah, Fabrial. And it's like sucking it out of the earth or out of the storm. They just don't know how to activate it. And if that's like the one city they made from the old world could have been like filled with those kind of cities, and it just kind of drained the world of Stormlight because they had too much,
just used too much of it
in the cities, and it just kind of broke apart because there wasn't enough to hold the world together.
The other thing we don't know, that's a good point.
I mean, that's just my own theory of how it's a good theory.
Do we know the history of Irithyru?
We don't.
Do we know if it's created by humans or Parchment or whatever?
Well, we're only now learning.
We know it's with Radiance.
Yeah. We're only now learning.
So it could have been after the humans already came. It could be bringing that tech from the other world.
The other thing that I hesitate with is... Because in Sanderson, like some of us read Mistborn, and in Sanderson's worlds, they're in this universe, but like it's hard for me to believe there's something like Stormlight in another universe.
Dimension,
like they don't, but there could be, and that might be the case. But I almost feel like maybe it wasn't Stormlight itself that was the. It seems pretty unique, but I guess we'll find out, man.
But if that's true, then that would probably mean, unless you're able to transport it between worlds, that would probably mean that Shadesmar is actually not a separate world, but just part of this world.
Well, I think that it's they describe it as 3 planes: the physical, the cognitive, and the spiritual. Yeah. And like honor, odium, cultivation, and the Mistborn guy, they were destruction and innovation. I forget the terms, but they exist in the spiritual plane.
Right.
And then the cognitive is like how our mind reacts and relates to the physical, but it's our cognitive perceptions that cause its creation.
But are these planes of like each world?
Well,
does each world have a cognitive, spiritual?
That will bridge it as long as there is somewhere that there's cognitive function going on.
Right.
So that's why I think Shadesmar can be like a pathway.
But all I'm saying is that Stormlight is in Shadesmar, though. So if it's not really...
So it could break, it could go. You're right, actually.
It's only brought in, it's not made the...
Yeah.
Did they say that?
Well, I believe it's so rare, and they say they have people bring in... trade.
They trade for Stormlight gems because
it's so valuable.
It's not the gem that's worth anything, it's the Stormlight that's worth something.
Okay.
And they also have perfect gems that don't ever release Stormlight.
So I feel that, and then remember we saw a storm from Shadesmere side, and none of the Stormlight penetrated. It can't penetrate. So I feel like it's actually the human trade.
So that's probably why it's so valuable there, because it can't be replenished. It can't be. You just have to have the Stormlight that gets brought in.
But just a little aside about what I was talking about. That play what Anshan has described now twice in the book about the little girl
and the light.
Yes, and the light.
I was thinking the same thing, Ben. Yeah, it's so funny.
I know, but she says like, "Oh, there's no storms. It went all in darkness." And then she climbs over the wall and brings light, but now there's a storm. So I'm thinking like there was at one time in this home planet that there was no Stormfather, there was no storms crossing. But when the humans came,
they brought it,
and it started
reacting differently with this new environment.
And that's a good point, because maybe they really did fuck their old place up with Stormlight, and they just brought it all with them.
Because there's evidence there is, because there's horses.
Yeah.
And there's like the only animal that survived. Yeah. It's soft and no shell. And then there's a place where the Shin live, where the grass is just grass.
Yep. Well, they said that that's where humans first settled.
That's where they first settled.
And it was all because of how... It's almost like when the humans came, I wonder if they literally brought a chunk of their world.
Well, what about this? I mean, considering that story, if we can assume any historical significance or moral from that story of the wall and stuff like that, do you think it's possible that actually it wasn't humans that actively came there, but somehow it was Parchment that broke some rules and bridged the gap and brought them there? Because because in the story, the girl comes from the dark side. And if we're assuming that the Stormlight is the light side, that would be the human side. And then they would bring it over. But it's someone from the dark side that bridged that gap.
Also,
that went over.
What if the story of the little girl is not about humans? What if it's about listeners?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what he said.
That's what I'm saying. And she went over to the light side.
I agree.
She went over to the human side and bridged that gap by bringing light back.
Yeah.
And then that's what allowed us to be able to come in.
The other thing to keep in mind is if the humans first settle in an area that was like their zone, and it's all like grass and soft and all this stuff, it's like, whereas if the storms that world is evolved for, and the Parshmen, the listeners who are evolved to handle that with the carapace and all of that and all the animals, that means that storms are innate to that world and always have been.
Yeah.
It evolved that way.
Yeah.
But humans came and settled in this little cushy, like, soft area, and our skin and our bodies are soft, and the storm is not what we brought. That was already there.
Right.
That world evolved for that storm. Yeah. We just adapted to living in that. And so what did they bring? Maybe they brought the Stormlight, but not the storm.
Right,
so they brought the light, but not the storm.
But one thing that's really unique, though, is, and this is maybe getting into a little bit too much, but everything that seems to be the natives have these gem hearts.
Yes.
It's anything that came over that's foreign doesn't have these gem hearts, but the gem hearts seem to be able to hold Spren and hold Stormlight.
Yeah.
So
that's
maybe originally that could be part of the reason why the Spren abandoned them or something. But once the Stormlight came, then they didn't need. Instead of holding Stormlight, instead of holding Spren, they started holding Stormlight and the gems. But I don't even know if those are completely different, though, because a lot of times holding Stormlight, we find in some cases that they're actually captured Spren.
Right.
So I don't know if Stormlight is that different.
Yeah. Well, I think that we are literally about to hold a religious service on this fine Sunday because our discussion has literally gone into a straight up historical philosophy, and I don't even know how to bridge this gap because Sanderson just hasn't given us enough facts yet.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably ready for a break, and therefore a break to this episode.
The cognitive, the spiritual, and the Holy Spren.
Nice.
Gosh darn it. So regardless, we have to talk more. We haven't even gotten to Dalinar yet, but we also need to flesh out. Yeah. We need to show nicely flesh out some of this awesome discussion on our characters, because we've been talking a lot about the world, but how about what they're actually freaking going through?
Yeah.
And then we gotta bloody talk about Dalinar and his alcoholism.
Stuff about the world in this.
Yeah.
This part, though.
I know, dude. It's just like so mind-boggling in a way.
Jeff, I just want to say that the way you're wrapping this episode up is so nice.
It's so nice. So I think for this episode, let's cheers. It's so nice.
It's so nice. It's so nice.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Lit Literature. If you liked us, please check out our social media at Lit Literature 1 at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't hesitate to join in on the conversation. We appreciate the conversation, the questions, book recommendations, anything of that sort. Join in right on the social media websites. And don't forget to check us out at our website, litliterature.com, and our upcoming projects, though there aren't many now besides Lit Literature, you can find at lyket.net, Lyket. We do have a Patreon account, but if you truly want to support us, please like and share. Cheers.